And we are back here live from Iona College. It's 11:02 a.m. Let's get up. All right, so we're talking about this terrible...
Talking about some NFL football. Finally not ending with NFL football, so we'll have some time to talk and debate this thing.
This is the craziest season by far in the NFL.
Anyone can win any week.
Yeah, except for the
Browns.
Giants. Oh, wow, we chose two different teams. And the 49ers, they're terrible.
Well, at least the Giants have a win.
All right, what do you want to talk? We got a long list to talk about.
So we'll try to kind of rocket fire. If we get stuck on something, it's important, but we'll try to go as fast as we can. First, it's kind of old news at this point. Happened Thursday afternoon on a rainy day, and it's going to be a rainy season now for the Houston Texans with Deshaun Watson tore his ACL out for the year. Did it in practice. Tom Savage taking over. Colin Kaepernick, I thought was a candidate, but I'm being told he's not.
There was rumors that it's Colin Kaepernick's not getting signed. Colin Kaepernick is not getting signed by the NFL. You listen to John Gruden. Listen to John Gruden talk about Colin Kaepernick. He does not deserve to be a quarterback in this league based on his play, not on his views.
His play is better than most backup quarterbacks in the league, though.
Okay, all right.
Are you going to tell me that Geno Smith and Davis Webb are better quarterbacks than Colin Kaepernick?
Davis Webb and Geno Smith are right now for the Giants?
Not Geno.
I really do not think Colin Kaepernick would fit in on the Giants.
Colin Kaepernick is better than any Niner quarterback right now.
Okay. What?
Yeah. Oh, sorry, C.J. Beathard.
Jimmy Garoppolo? Yeah, shut your mouth. Exactly. You don't know what you're talking about.
All right,
we're talking about
That eluded me for a minute, okay?
Yeah, exactly.
But,
Deshaun Watson.
But to bring that up, no. Niners are not going to start Garoppolo this year because they don't want to bring up his value in free agency, and I think that's ridiculous.
I think they're going to start him next week. I think Beathard is going to just throw another pick off of somebody's helmet again, and it's just going to be like... And then you're going to have Kyle Shanahan standing there looking at Beathard and going... like he does every week. And then he's going to go, Garoppolo, get in this game, and it's going to happen. And he's not going to even know the plays, and knowing him, he's going to throw for 6 touchdowns on 5 throws. So, it's got that Bill Belichick blood running through his veins, so I think he's going to work out pretty well for San Francisco. If they hold on to him, if they start him this year, who knows? Kyle Shanahan's using a ploy the same way he did for the Falcons. He would use Tevin Coleman one week more than he would use Freeman, and then now it's... Atlanta's looking terrible. We can talk about that later.
Well, we'll get
Going back to Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson hurts his... what did he tear?
He tears his ACL.
Tears his ACL. Complete tear of the ACL. And there was rumors that it came about in the game before this practice.
And the game before is when he broke all the records.
Yeah, and then people were neglecting the fact, mainly him, that it happened. And then all of a sudden, practice comes along. Bang, out for the year.
Out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere. And
I was about to leave for the Jet-Bill game, which I went to Thursday night. I got the TV on. I'm ready to go. Have a good day. Breaking news, Deshaun Watson tears his ACL.
Yeah, and this is why I'm sort of done with football. I just don't know how this happens. I don't know how you run a player out like that in practice. It's non-contact. You have I'm certain that they're not hitting the quarterback in practice. I think it's a no-helmet practice, honestly, or minimal contact.
Yeah, I mean, it shouldn't be full contact, that's for sure. It's got to be a non-contact injury for Watson, then.
Yep.
Very unfortunate.
And it's just, the easy Rookie of the Year. Now it's going
to be Kareem Hunt.
Yep.
Like, it's not even close.
Easy. Yeah. You can't name anybody else that's really, really deserving of it.
No.
I mean, maybe a defensive player.
And I feel bad for Lamar Miller. I feel bad for Will Fuller. I think DeAndre Hopkins will probably survive with Savage at quarterback.
Yeah.
Because he always has. But, Will Fuller was having a monster
he's
year.
treading water, man. He's going to get tired at one point. There's a lot to look at for this Houston team. Defense is obviously missing Watt, and then you have Watson... also hurt. It's looking real bad.
The main thing about this Houston team, though, obviously, is without Watt and Watson, I think they're out of AFC South contention, which leads the Jacksonville Jaguars.
No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, okay. It leads the Jacksonville Jaguars and it leads the Tennessee Titans to battle it out to see who makes the playoffs. Both 5-3 right now. Titans haven't made the playoffs in 8 years. Jaguars 9 years. So someone's ending their drought.
And then you look at
maybe both.
And then if we go back, remember that fateful Thursday night color rush game between the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Tennessee Titans.
And everyone didn't want to watch.
Everybody hated it. Everybody hated it.
Now look where we are.
Now we're playing for something like that on a Thursday night, and the Jaguars are looking really, really good. Other than that really great quarterback that they have, and then you look at.
I think Bortles just trying to throw you a football.
Yeah. I don't know. I didn't see it. It probably went over my head. But you look at the Tennessee Titans, who also have a very good quarterback who's not running.
Well, he's got hamstring issues. He can't.
But he's not that type of quarterback.
Not that type of quarterback. This is Marcus Mariota. He invented being that type of quarterback.
No, what do you mean? I'm saying he's a mobile quarterback.
You said he's not. Oh, you mean he's not a pocket passer?
Yeah, he's not that type of player.
Well, you said that wrong.
I apologize,
yeah.
Jacob. But I'm saying, like, you look at this team, and the Tennessee Titans are not necessarily that team that you're like, well, they could put up 40 points on us without Marcus Mariota running the ball. So I think Jacksonville's going to come away with that division, and by coming away with that division, I think there'll be one win over the Tennessee Titans. Oh boy, that division's not going to look pretty this year.
Now, if the Jacksonville Jaguars play a home playoff game, does it take place in Jacksonville or London? Because I'm not sure at this point.
That was very funny, Jake. You know what else is funny? AJ Green slamming Jalen Ramsey on the floor.
Well, they're both going to get suspended at least one game.
Yeah, I mean, AJ Green
should get more.
What are you doing? No. Jalen Ramsey pushed him.
Oh, a push. He didn't choke him out and try to suplex him.
AJ Green was defending himself. You know who wasn't defending himself and was being stupid? Mike Evans. Because he just decked that. I don't even know. I can't remember who it was because it was such a flurried moment. Jameis Winston was like, hey, get over there, tapping him on the shoulder, pushes Jameis Winston, and then you wait 2 seconds, you're like, oh, this is not going to be bad, and then Mike Evans just pow right in the back of the head to this guy, and it's like...
It's a very violent week in the NFL for no reason.
It's bloody. Bloodshed everywhere. It's all because Deshaun Watson got hurt.
Looking at the AFC playoff picture, I think we pretty much know the division winners outside of the AFC South. So the question is, those last two wild card spots, the Buffalo Bills probably will get one, 5-3. They're going to end that 17-year playoff drought, which everyone talks about. That would give the Browns the longest playoff drought at 15 years, and obviously they deserve that. They can't find a quarterback. They can't find a team.
Here's what I think, though. I think we have a Bills team who is playing out of their head right now. They're playing very well, but I think the Dolphins are a better team.
Well, they can both make it.
They can, but...
Do you think Tennessee and Jacksonville both make it this year?
No.
I don't either. So that leaves one spot open, and the teams competing for that spot, I don't really think anybody else. It's probably Miami, Baltimore, Oakland, and the Jets.
I mean, Oakland, I think, is a given. I think Oakland's going to make it. I think they're going to get their stuff together. I think if Marshawn Lynch begins playing better, like he did last night, I think there's going to be some magic for that team. I think if Marshawn Lynch gets more carries, like Jack Del Rio said he would a couple of weeks ago, but he never did, that team would be a lot better.
Yeah.
So I think that Oakland is going to be the first wild card spot, and I think the second wild card spot is going to be the Miami Dolphins.
So you have Buffalo out altogether.
I have Buffalo out altogether.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Tyrod Taylor, great quarterback. There's just something about this Buffalo Bills team that when I watch them, I'm like, something doesn't look right. Something doesn't seem right. They got a great defense. You have LaShawn McCoy, who's great. You have Tyrod Taylor, who's been out of his mind lately.
But Tyrod Taylor is becoming an elite quarterback. That's real.
Remember when they were going to trade him last year?
When Tyrod Taylor was on Baltimore early in his career and he was sitting behind Flacco, everyone said he has potential. Put him in when Flacco was struggling. Yeah, Tyrod Taylor didn't come out of nowhere. Everyone's always thought he had this in him.
I think
this year he's finally putting it together.
I think Joe Flacco is still reeling from that head hit he got a couple of weeks ago. But really thinking about it, Tyrod Taylor, great quarterback this year. But I think the Buffalo Bills don't have that magic. They added Kelvin Benjamin. Don't know if that's going to work out for them.
I don't know if he's the right kind of guy for a guy like Tyrod Taylor.
No, I don't think so. He's big. Tyrod Taylor is not the most accurate arm in the NFL, but he can throw. He's very fast. He's a great rusher. Problem, Kelvin Benjamin, big guy. He's not exactly the most athletic wide receiver, but
even in Carolina, Cam Newton complained about getting rid of Benjamin. He said that kind of guy can't be replaced. But proven stats say that Carolina actually moves the ball better when Kelvin Benjamin's not on the field.
Yeah,
because the speedy receivers for running quarterbacks, it helps the option, it helps the deep ball. Kelvin Benjamin is not exactly the guy for running quarterback. He's more of a pocket passer's weapon.
No, yeah, and he's also, not only that, I think he's also just a big target for the end zone. I think he could be a really good touchdown guy. I think he'd be like similar to a Michael Crabtree, even though Michael Crabtree's not that big. Still great hands for the end zone. I think Kelvin Benjamin could be that type of player, but with some big play possibilities. I think he has some big play possibilities.
And obviously at the Jet game, you had the Jets winning, but Zay Jones had a breakout game for the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah.
And then he suffered an injury, so that's just unfortunate for him because he finally carved out a role. He finally had a good game, and now he suffers the injury. You got Kelvin Benjamin coming in, so he will probably not get that role back, but at least he showed potential for upcoming years.
Yeah, and this is a direct message to Todd Bowles. If you don't start running the ball with Bilal Powell more, you're going to regret it immensely.
The way Matt Forte played against Buffalo, you don't need to run Powell more.
Okay, well, Forte is not the future of this team, and if you're so heavily looking at the future, Todd Bowles, and if you're so heavily wanting to protect your job, build a good running back in Bilal Powell. Bilal Powell is a better running back at this point in his career than Matt Forte is. I'm sorry. I think Bilal Powell is a better player. You got to run the ball more with him. He was having such great success, and then you replace him with Forte because Forte was crying like a little baby a week ago, and he was saying, "I don't have an why did we abandon running the ball? Because you couldn't run. You weren't running."
And then he
well.
bounced back against Buffalo, did what he did.
He didn't bounce back. Bilal Powell had 2 big runs, put him on the 1-yard line, and they were like, "Here you go, Forte. Don't cry anymore." Because Todd Bowles does not know how to manage a locker room. The players are the ones that manage the locker room, and right now,
Matt Forte had one goal line touchdown. Josh McCown had one.
Right now, Matt Forte didn't have 2 touchdowns in that game?
He did, but one of them was not on the goal line.
Okay, one of them was, 8 yards out?
No, probably like 15.
It was not 15 yards out.
I was at the game. I would know.
Okay, so find it. See how far it was. Look it up. And you want to look at it. This is the way I look at it. Todd Bowles is a good coach. He has no locker room presence. The players are happy. Right now, the players look happy. Everybody's dancing on the field because the players are the managers of that team. And when they're winning, they're happy. When they're losing, they're not. Todd Bowles cannot manage a locker room. And that's why Ben McAdoo...
He brought everybody together.
Todd Bowles has done a good job this year on the field.
The chemistry on the Jets is exceptional.
The chemistry on the Jets is not due to Todd Bowles. I'm sorry, but did you see what happened last year? Todd Bowles didn't have a year and go, wow, if this is how bad it's going to be, I think next year I'm going to do it a little bit better. No, Tom Coughlin got fired for the same reason Ben McAdoo was going to get fired. Not enough success. Iffy locker room. Odell was acting up. Ben McAdoo is going to get fired. Todd Bowles obviously deserves an extension after this year, somehow reviving
the Jets got rid of Sheldon Richardson. That helped the chemistry of this team.
That's huge.
And that was Mike McCagnon and Todd Bowles' split decision.
Okay.
Todd Bowles went to McCagnon and said, I think we should trade Sheldon Richardson.
And what did they get for him?
Jermaine Kearse. It doesn't matter what they got from Kearse. He's been a good guy in the locker room. He's been good on the field.
I'm saying that when I don't think Todd Bowles is the reason why this team is so successful in the locker room together. I think they have chemistry because of the rookies like Jamal Adams, May. They are coming together and they're saying, you know what? We all have a common cause. We want to shut the haters up, and they're doing that very well. And you know what the Giants did? They were the type of people that were sitting at the table. Ben McAdoo was like, oh, look how good my team is. Oh, we're going to win 11 games easily. And then now, Ben McAdoo, gone. Ben McAdoo is going to be so gone. They're going to take Ben McAdoo, and they're going to build a bridge named after him, and then they're going to put Jerry Reese and Ben McAdoo on it, and they're going to make sure that bridge is not standing as soon as they get there.
God.
That team is terrible because of Ben McAdoo, Jerry Reese. They're the captain and co-captain of this Titanic, and this team is sinking faster than any other team in the NFL. But we're going to talk about them more later.
Well, let's go back to Buffalo real quick, because I didn't give my prediction on the AFC, who's going to make it. I still think Buffalo is going to make it, I really do, because I'm not going to fault them for going on the road on a Thursday night against the New York Jets, where they never win every single year in MetLife. It doesn't matter how bad or good the Jets are, they can't win a game in MetLife. I don't know why. I don't know what they have against MetLife. I don't know if it's the crowd.
MetLife's a great stadium.
But Buffalo can't do it. So, Buffalo's going to make it. I think they're good. Now, that last spot, I'm not going to give it to the Dolphins because I don't think Jay Cutler has a full season in him. He had a great game last night, don't get me wrong.
But Matt Moore looks okay. Matt Moore, they did not
Cutler
have to
played
sign
really well
Cutler.
last night.
They did not have to sign
I'm
Cutler.
giving the last spot to the Oakland Raiders.
The last spot to the Oakland Raiders.
I am.
Not the first wild card, the second.
No, I'm having Buffalo in the first wild card.
Wow.
And I'm getting Oakland in that second wild card.
I think the Bills can only win at home. I think that's what that team is going to be for the rest of the year. So, we'll see.
Well, the thing about the Jets, though, for the future is obviously, just to end with the Jets, they're exceeding expectations this year. 4-5. Everyone said 0-16, 0-16. Jets go draft a left tackle next year in the draft. Connor Williams. You already got that great, exceptional chemistry as we talked about before. If Kirk Cousins falls to the free agency, you get him, make sure he doesn't go anywhere else, and you're going to be stacked for upcoming years, for sure.
And speaking of Kirk Cousins, let's move on. Talking about the Seahawks now. He dominated them. He didn't dominate them in the sense that, wow, he dominated them the whole game and they won. No, he dominated them when it mattered. That's what Kirk Cousins is, a clutch quarterback, and he did very, very well in the final couple of minutes of that game.
Yeah.
And now you're starting to look at this team and you're going, the Redskins are pretty good. They don't have that wide receiver core. Finally, Josh Doxson and Kirk Cousins are clicking, and Terrell Pryor got involved in the game a little bit, but that's mainly because everybody on that team is hurt. Hold on, really quick.
Yeah.
Let me just talk about the Redskins. 4 offensive linemen hurt, 2 tight ends hurt. Now they have 3 tight ends hurt because Vernon Davis is hurt. They're talking about maybe a broken hand. They're talking about you're talking about Jordan Reed, who's constantly hurt. Who's the other tight end?
Miles Paul.
He's hurt. Miles. Same thing. Nobody knows him. He can't catch a pass. He's got 83 concussions in his career. I forgot. You know, he's out. And then you have Fat Rob Kelly, who can't run the ball.
PHAT.
And then you have Chris Thompson, who's playing exceptionally well, but when you play against the Seahawks defense, you can't expect major points.
Samaje Perine doesn't get any carries anymore.
But you're looking at this team, and then you're like, wow, Kirk Cousins pulled through when it mattered, and now they're looking a little bit more serious. They're obviously not going to win the division because they have the best team in the league playing in it, but they're looking pretty good. On the other side of this, Seahawks, must-win game. They come out, they lose. That's how I think it's going to be. That's how I think it was.
Yeah.
Blair Walsh, you can't kick in the cold. Get off this team. You are terrible. Blair Walsh, you won me my fantasy matchup. You won me. By missing 3 field goals, you won me my fantasy matchup. That's how bad you played.
Send him a thank you letter.
So, yeah, I might. I'm going to
I'm sitting at the Islander game.
A post.
I'm sitting at the Islander game watching this game in front of me because some guy has it on his little phone. So I saw Josh Doxson with a great catch. He got to the 1-yard line. Probably should have scored.
If you look back at the replay, the ball was over the line, so it technically was a touchdown when it got touched down. But
I mean, it's tough enough to focus. It's tough enough to focus on the hockey game on the ice when you got these guys to my right, all dressed as referees, cheering for the refs. Everything they do, offsides, cheer, icing, cheer. They didn't root for a team. You had about 50 guys dressed as referees taking up a section and just rooting for the referees. It's really cool. Good. Apparently they travel, but they're really annoying. Anyway, so you got that on the right, you got this game on the left, so the whole first period I pretty much couldn't focus on what was on the ice.
Well, that's going to go down as a classic game. In my opinion, I thought that was one of the best games I've watched all year, and it only finished 17-14. And, Jimmy Graham drops that 2-point conversion. Not his fault, honestly.
Well, Seattle, they're playing classic games. The game against the Texans with Watson the week earlier, that was a classic game, too, maybe even more classic. Seattle's that team that they're going to be in every single game. But what did they do last week that I said they weren't going to ever do? Lose at home.
Yeah.
I can't believe Washington actually went on the road and won this game.
And that 12th man was loud as heck in that game. And when you look at... When I watch the Seahawks and I look at their defense, I'm like, wow, this team is clearly elite on one side of the ball. And then you look at their offense, and barring the part that I think Kirk Cousins got sacked 6 times last game, and then you look at this on the other side of the ball, Russell Wilson had to literally put the team on his back on offense. He had to create space he had to run the ball himself. Thomas Rawls had a little success in the game, but he had to run the ball himself just so that they would focus a little bit more on him so Doug Baldwin would get open.
Doug Baldwin had a great game.
He did have a great game, and so that Paul Richardson would get open. And then
Paul Richardson and Tyler Lockett, they were kind of shadowed by Josh Norman all game. One or the other.
Yeah, but
and
Paul Richardson had a clutch catch in the fourth quarter that allowed them to get to 14 points. So, and then eventually lead 14-10, and then Washington came back. Bang, bang, bang. Gruden looked happy as hell. He shouldn't be. He's a terrible coach.
Well, he should be. It's a great win.
I mean, yeah, but it's not... Nothing on this team is a product of him, other than some of the questionable calls he's had in the three out of the 4 losses.
The problem I have with the Washington Redskins is that this might be the last year they have to do something. And they're probably not going to even make the playoffs this year because Kirk Cousins, you can't franchise tag the guy for $34 million next year. You've done it too many times already.
I think Kirk Cousins stays, and I think this team is going to be really good.
Well, I told you I think he stays too, but I don't know if they're willing to pay him. And if they're not willing to pay him, you got Colt McCoy as your next quarterback. I love Colt McCoy. I'm going to sit here and be honest on the radio. He can't start in the NFL every single week. He's a great fill-in if someone gets hurt. He can win you a game or two, but he's not a starting quarterback.
He was basically like, oh my God, ex-quarterback for the Chicago Bears.
Rex Grossman.
Yeah, and then you look at another quarterback for the Chicago Bears that started at the beginning of the year, Mike Glennon, who was...
Well, Colt McCoy is better than Mike Glennon.
No, I'm saying Mike Glennon was a great fill-in, but then when he got that starting job, he craps the bed.
My point with Washington, though, is they're the third best team in that division right now, even after Ezekiel Elliott potentially gets suspended, which it looks like it's finally going to happen.
Hopefully.
Maybe even starting this week. It's been ridiculous all year.
Insanity.
Yeah, every single week it changes.
I don't understand. Listen, Ezekiel Elliott, nothing's going to change my opinion on you at this point. Same way nothing's going to change my opinion on a lot of other people. But Ezekiel Elliott says he did not do what he's accused of doing. He's been found guilty or found... There's enough evidence to cause a suspension 4 times. 4 times. And every time he was like, no, I'm going to appeal again. I'm going to appeal again. At what point does this end? And I know a lot of people are going to say, you don't know legislation. I actually do.
And honestly, it's hurt the Cowboys.
Yeah, and you could appeal as many times as you want. But if the Cowboys are serious about making the playoff push, they don't. Listen, Darren McFadden, you got Alfred Morris, you got the other guy, what's his name?
Rod Smith.
And then you're looking at these players. You're like, they could probably fill in for him and do okay because this offensive line is absolutely insane. But here's the problem. Ezekiel Elliott, if they do make the playoffs, if he gets suspended in 4 weeks, 5 weeks, if that's possible, if he doesn't get, then they don't have him for the playoffs.
All right, 3 things on that. Number 1, I don't think it'll carry over the playoffs. I feel like it'll be a regular season suspension where if he misses maybe 4 games this year, he misses 2 next year. I don't think they give him playoff games.
I think that's ridiculous. But
2 is that Ezekiel Elliott, for the sake of his team, probably should have taken the suspension early on if he wasn't going to be able to win this. Maybe he thought he can get away with it. It doesn't matter. Early on, it doesn't really matter if you have your star players because everyone's getting used to their new teammates. Everyone's kind of getting back in the groove of things, and you could win games you're not supposed to earlier in the year as opposed to now because now you're all meshed together. You have important games coming. Everyone is playing better.
Yeah, and you just look at this Cowboys team. They're impressive. They have a lot of good things going on about them. Cole Beasley is one of them. He's a pillar of consistency for that team. Des Bryant is that sort of like...
Des Bryant got hurt yesterday.
Yeah, Des Bryant is sort of that like boomer bust guy. Terrence Williams has been really getting his stuff together this season. Dak Prescott's absolutely amazing. Everybody was like, he's going to have a terrible sophomore slump. No, he's not.
3... What I want to say is that Ezekiel Elliott, he said he's done things. I don't want to say it on the air what he's done, but he said he's done things at Ohio State, which wouldn't shock me if he did this. Maybe he tried to put it out there to make himself look like, hey, I'm admitting everything. I didn't do this. But he's changed since then. I really think he has. But that guy back then...
I'm sorry. I don't think so. There's videos of him pulling up that girl's shirt on that float. Listen... I do not hold him to a high standard. Out of everybody in the NFL, I don't hold him to a high standard.
I wouldn't say I hold him to the highest standard, but I wouldn't put him all the way low either.
I'm sorry, but if so many judges are saying, yeah, he might have done this, I think he might have done this. And everybody's siding with Ezekiel Elliott. The Players Association, which I think is disgusting. I think is absolutely disgusting that in every sport the Players Association goes, well... let's side with the player, even though Aroldis Chapman shot bullets into the roof. Yeah. The Players Association sided with him, even though...
Well, they kind of have to.
I think that's ridiculous. I don't care who you are. If you do something wrong, what are you, a political party?
It's almost take it out of sports for a minute. It's almost like if you commit a crime, you get a public defendant. They have to defend you.
Okay, yeah, they have to defend you, and then they go out there and they defend you. But if you there's good public defenders, there's bad public defenders. But then when you look at it, if the guy's guilty, he's going to be guilty.
Yeah, most public defenders aren't good. If you can't pay for your own lawyer, they're not good. Okay. But the point is, the Players Association, that's their job. They're supposed to defend the players.
All right, let me just say something. If somebody from an NFL team walked up to a good player, I don't want to use this guy's name because he passed away, but... Let's use a player that would never do something like this. Russell Wilson is probably the nicest guy in the NFL. Funny,
no.
Smart, he's not.
Andrew Luck.
He doesn't shower, so I wouldn't be surprised. He probably keeps people in his basement.
We'll use Andrew Luck.
No, we're using Russell Wilson. So he walks up to somebody in the street, just beats the living crap out of them, they die. God forbid. Goes out, and then the Players Association says, no, he didn't do it. We're going to give $1 billion gajillion so he could defend himself. And then there's video that surfaces of him beating the living poop out of this guy.
No. How long has the Players Association been around?
It's been since the last strike. How long ago was that?
2012?
No, longer than that.
Before, yeah.
Yeah.
Early 2000s, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, that kind of makes my point even better. Michael Vick, with the whole dogfighting incident, did not get the representation you see today with Ezekiel Elliott and other situations like that.
Yeah, because he was blatantly guilty.
Exactly.
And players were like,
so if
wait a
Russell
minute.
Wilson beats someone on the side of the road and they die, it's going to be the same thing as Michael Vick. He's just going to go to jail.
I don't understand. In this country, a lot of people say you're guilty until proven innocent. By law, you're innocent until proven guilty. But come on, how many judges have to rule you guilty in order for you to be suspended? I mean, I'm sorry. I hate Roger Goodell. I'm siding with him on this. He's clearly made some big mistakes as the commissioner. I'm siding with him on this.
I'm not siding with Goodell, but I'm saying Zeke should have just took it like a man at this point.
And I think that's exactly why I think he probably will get. I think he will get suspended, and I think that eventually the Redskins are going to take over that spot and have a wild card spot by the end of this year.
All right, well, let's go back to the gridiron to talk about one more team, and that's going to be the Green Bay Packers with Brett Hundley at quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
They did not look good last week. Hundley barely threw for 100 yards.
I mean, he looks like the replacement for Aaron Rodgers.
It wasn't even last week, wasn't it? Wasn't a bye week last week?
Yeah.
So the week before.
He looks like the guy that you would like. You have somebody. It's like Didi Gregorius. Yeah, over a couple of years he'll be able to fill the shoes, but right now, God, he looks awful.
Yeah.
He looks awful.
And he has so many weapons on the offense. I mean, I would think he can hit Cobb or Jordy or even Devontae Adams, and he's got Aaron Jones running the ball. He's got Ty Montgomery to throw swings to, but he can't seem to find a way to just be productive.
They got to reshape the offense, and Mike McCarthy is clearly unprepared.
Well, you have a Monday night game against the Lions tonight. That's going to be very telling for Brett Hundley in his career.
I think it's going to be an easy one for Detroit. I think Detroit.
Not if Hundley. I mean, he had a whole bye week to prepare for this. He got more reps with the first team. He got to know his receivers a little bit more. If he could throw a deep ball, if he could be accurate, he's going to be okay. He's a running quarterback. He's different than Aaron Rodgers. They need to shape a game plan around him.
I think what needs to be looked at is the fact that you have tonight. I think Green Bay loses. I think they get blown out. I think by blown out I mean lost by 2 touchdowns. But I think what is going to happen tonight is you're going to have Matthew Stafford throwing the ball and not being afraid to throw the ball. And he's going to throw it deep, and he's going to throw it constantly, and he's going to get like 35 throws, and he's going to look good. And then you have Brett Hundley, who has the weapons, and Martellus Bennett's been terrible this year.
Martellus Bennett's now out, too.
Yeah, and you look at him and you're like, maybe he'll gain some value because he's going to throw it short. Nope, Martellus Bennett's out. Martellus Bennett's looked bad this year, and then now you're starting to look at it, and the guy with the highest value on that team is probably Aaron Jones.
Well, I agree with you that the Packers are probably going to lose tonight, but next week, going on the road against the Chicago Bears, that's the kind of game where you got to see if Hundley can be productive at all. Yeah, because yes, Chicago's defense has forced a lot of defensive turnovers this year. They've had many defensive touchdowns. They might lead the league in that category. It's not like they're an elite defense. They're the Bears. They're not ready to be competitive yet.
They're not an elite team.
Trubisky has made that defense go on the field way more than they want to. So we'll see if Hundley could beat a tired defense next week.
Yeah, but I really don't. I think Brett Hundley is. I think by the end of the year, if Aaron Rodgers doesn't come back, I think Brett Hundley gets the Green Bay Packers 3 more wins. I think that's just how it's going to be.
All right, last thing we're going to talk about before we go to break, and hopefully have time for something else because we never seem to. Eli Manning loses again, 51-17 this time, to the Los Angeles Rams. Is it time to give Davis Webb a chance? Because I don't think Geno Smith is the guy, obviously. But do you see what you have in Davis Webb?
You want me to solve the Giants' problems in a very short period of time?
I think you have about 2 minutes to tell me.
I'm gonna solve them very quickly. Fire McAdoo, fire Reese. Sign 2 offensive linemen in the offseason. Draft an offensive lineman.
That's a lot.
Revamp the entire offensive line. Get your team an offensive line similar to the Dallas Cowboys.
Okay, but if you're spending all that money, do you pay Odell?
No.
So you would let Odell walk?
I would let Odell walk.
You don't even franchise tag him?
I don't even franchise tag Odell. You have Evan Ingram, who's a young tight end weapon. You have Sterling Shepard, who's a weapon. Next year, you know
Sterling Shepard can't play out of the slot.
You know what you do? That I don't care. That we find a new one. Wide receivers are draftable.
No. Aaron Rodgers was healthy a couple years ago when Jordy Nelson got hurt, and Randall Cobb had to play in the slot. The Packers struggled all year with just having Cobb as a weapon.
Sterling Shepard. But Cobb won't be the only weapon. I mean, Shepard won't be the only weapon. They have Evan Ingram.
And they had
You get a new offensive line, Eli Manning has 10 seconds to throw in the pocket. He'll take all 10, and he'll be happy.
I'll give you that a good tight end is very important because Aaron Rodgers looked his best a couple years ago when Jermichael Finley was still part of the offense.
Yeah, and I think you have a good tight end, you have a good offensive line. The Giants are going to look good without Ben McAdoo. Get him off the sideline. Get him as far away from any football stadium as humanly possible. Ship him into the middle of the ocean. Send him to San Helena, the furthest island from any human civilization. Put him there. Put Jerry Reese there. Make them procreate. Leave them alone. Let them stay there for the rest of their lives. They're terrible. They're ruining this franchise. Tom Coughlin should still be a coach here.
And I agree with all that. But Davis Webb is not the answer at quarterback. He was never the answer at California.
No. When did I ever say that? You know what the Giants had an opportunity to do this year? They had an opportunity to get another quarterback. I think Jimmy Garoppolo was the answer. I think Jimmy Garoppolo could have been a good quarterback for them. But Kyle Shanahan was like, nope, I'm really good at using offensive players. I'm really good at getting players and making them good. You know what he did? Garoppolo, he's going to be a great quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers.
Well, on that note, and by the way, before we even get rid of this, the Giants are favored to lose to the 49ers on the road this week.
That's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen, but just the fact they're favored to lose to an 0-9 team, that's starting CJ.
Go out there and put as much money as you can on the Giants. I guarantee a win.
Well,
I guarantee a win.
We're not going to...
You do that? No, seriously, I'm not even kidding. Fly to Vegas. Spend the money on a ticket. You'll make 10 times the amount of money back. I'm telling you, put money on the Giants. The San Francisco 49ers, unless they start Garoppolo. If they start Garoppolo,
it's not going to happen. But I would never put money on the Giants no matter who they're playing. Right. Put them against the Browns, I wouldn't put money because you never know what's going to happen with that team.
The Browns are terrible.
Eli can go 3 pick sixes, that's over.
No, well, Eli hasn't... How many pick sixes has Eli thrown this year?
I don't know that stat.
Exactly.
How could anybody?
I'm pretty sure he's thrown 0 pick sixes.
All right, well, on that note, we're going to go to a commercial break. When we get back, we have no clue yet, but we got one more thing.
All right.
We'll be back.
Talk about it.